Your search for unbeatable internet speeds is over. Visit Docomo Pacific today and sign up for as low as $60 a month so you can experience our fast, reliable internet speeds for yourself. Docomo Pacific, better together. search for unbeatable internet speeds is over. Visit Docomo Pacific today and sign up for as low as $60 a month so you can experience our fast, reliable internet speeds for yourself. Docomo Pacific, better together.
begin with just a short, deep breath, inhaling through the nose, Hagum Halom, Hagum Huzum, Hagum Halom, Hagum Huzum, Hagum Halom, Hagum Huzum. Can you feel your feet against the floor? And close your eyes and just have a moment of gratitude for the earth, for the land, for the ancestors of this land, for allowing us to be here to gather in a good way. Taking a deep breath in of gratitude for the life that you breathe in with every breath. And a nice exhale to release any tension, relax your shoulders, your jaw, relax your eyes and their eye sockets. Now that we feel settled, thank you all for being here today. Thank you for giving your time and your energy to be with us, to do this work. we're going to go ahead and open up with our chant from yesterday, Manda and Hit, giving thanks to the Creator, Izahululu, for all that they have, and the ancestors for all that they have made for us, for our life, for our ancestors and their words of wisdom, for all that we have. Yeah. And we're going to be passing around the palai as we chant. So for those of us who are new, the palai is a sacred oil that was blessed through many ceremonies all throughout the Marianas. And the way that you apply it is you just put a tiny dab on your hand, not a lot. It's just so that you get the essence of the oil. You're going to rub your hands together and start by swiping, stuffing the top of your head, down past your eyes, your nose, your lips, your throat, to your heart, and then swiping away down to your hands at least 3 times on each side. And then around your whole body, your belly, your back, all the way to your feet, so that we can release any negative energy, protect ourselves from bad spirits, and allow fresh, good energy to come into the body so that we feel good today. And there's also some sage from Palestine that is being passed around that you got to meet, that you will, if you haven't yet, you will get to smell. And sage is another sacred herb that can separate. Thank you for that. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2. So I would love to open up the floor to those who are new today, who couldn't make it yesterday. I think there's 3 in here. If that is you, yesterday we said our names, where we're from, our family name, and what was the last? Who you're here with. So, yeah, if I know James and Mr. Olupai is here. Anyone else new today?
We have one person who didn't get to introduce himself yesterday.
And we have one person who didn't introduce himself. So, would you like to go first?
Kafade, buenos dias, good morning, Marianas. Manana Sizuus. My name is Manieka Dioro. I'm the co-executor and co-founder of Micronesia Climate Change Alliance, and so happy to be here and start today with you, and really grateful for all the facilitation that kind of eased us into what we're going to be talking about today, which can be a little heavy. I do want us to have people just on alert that we are going to be talking about things that could trigger you, and so just be mindful of your spirit and of your heart. Micronesia Climate Change Alliance is pretty new. We've only started really organizing throughout the Marianas in 2019, and I personally have been doing a lot of activism work for years before that, and I come from an activism tradition that Mama Jill has started with Nashon Chamorro and a long line of people who've been defending our right to be indigenous on our own homelands, our Chamorro homelands. And so this conference is a long time in the making. We really just being a witness and a participant in our movement, to perpetuate our culture, our healing traditions, our navigation traditions, our dance and our song, and also within our movement to uplift our families. I have been a part of, on both sides, of conflict, and I have witnessed conflicts arise. When humans get together, no matter the size or no matter the scope, conflict is natural, and it happens. And I've noticed, and we've noticed in our movement spaces, in our community spaces, that we don't have strong tools to deal and navigate with conflict in healthy ways. And colonization has sort of stripped us from our cultural appropriate ways. For many of us within our own families, especially when it comes to land, our land is so precious to us, but our land has also divided our families pretty heavily. And we all probably have stories around that, especially in Guahan, where land grabbing after World War II was really strong. And also the selling of our land was happening from brothers were selling land underneath the feet of their sisters and not even talking to them about it. And so this is a heavy topic, but we were very, very intentional about the way that we want to bring this to our community, and very, very intentional that we want to walk away from this space more equipped to handle conflict, more equipped to see people for whole human beings, and to recognize that it's okay to make mistakes, but we're going to continue to work together, because what's at risk, what's at stake is our islands, our water, our air, and we need to come together even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And the conditions of the world right now are getting more and more tense. And so us showing up here today for peace and for inner peace is just really what the whole world needs to be doing. Us opening up the space to navigate conflict, to mend our nets, to be ensuring that the future generations don't repeat the past, don't repeat the patterns of toxicity, and end sort of generational conflict is really important. And we're not going to figure that all out today or tomorrow or even in the next few months, but it's something that we want to step into the direction of and lean into. None of us that brought this training together have we don't have masters in this. This is just something that we really know is needed in our community and really care about. So this is also really the first time that we're bringing this to our community, so it's not perfect, and please excuse us if it's doesn't meet all your needs, but we're here to figure this out together, and we really want to ask for that sort of vulnerability but as facilitators and also as participants, that we're just really wanting to better ourselves and better our community. Because especially if we're asking leaders to demand diplomacy, to demand peace, we need to be practicing it here with each other. So just wanted to lay that groundwork for the work we're going to be getting into. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? No? Okay. And I'm so excited for a panel that the elders will be contributing to in a little bit too, that's really going to delve into ways in which our culture may have had practices of dealing with conflicts, and ways in which they've seen from their parents and grandparents that we can do this work better. Yeah? Okay. Just want to say thank you so much for that.
I'm gonna hand over the mic to Mona, but before I do, this is a piece by Shannon Sasimoto. It has all the CNMI islands on it. Her Instagram is That's So Shannon, so SEW. Art is resistance, so I just want to uplift local artists. And then yesterday on my pants, it was Geraldine Guerrero from Guam, and her name is that on Instagram. So thank you.
Buenas. How are we feeling this morning? Good, good. So we're going to measure the time before we jump into it. So similar to when we're deciding if we're going to swim at the beach, if it's low tide, high tide, we're going to just do kind of like a measure by your hand. So if you're feeling a little low tide right now, maybe you're still waking up, you haven't had enough coffee, or you need a stretch, you can keep your hand here. If you're feeling a little higher than that, you're ready, but you're still adjusting. And if you're able to, you can raise your hand a little. And if you're at the highest tide, you're just absolutely present and you have all the energy that you have, and then you'd raise your hand higher, and that way we can just kind of gauge across the room how we're all showing up today. So I invite you to let everyone know if you're comfortable, where you're feeling today. Okay, so we're medium tide, a few waves coming in with the high tide. Okay, wonderful, thank you so much. I just want to make sure that we're all, as we're in this space together, I'm going to sit back down because I'm part of this group. While I'll be co-facilitating, I'm also a participant, and I'm so excited to share this space with all of you. And we did some introductions yesterday, but again, Guahu Simona Manglonia. I want to just thank my co-facilitators and the MCCA team, but specifically Dakota Camacho, Muñeca de Oro, and Sheila Babauta, who were really pivotal in informing and guiding the tone and approach of today and tomorrow's workshop around conflict. Muñeca worded it really beautifully. We are not experts in this. There's no one way to navigate conflict. And I think that as we have some discussions throughout today and tomorrow, we'll see that there's so much that each of us hold, whether that's your internal conflict, your external conflicts, whether it's with your family, your workplace, or the larger powers that be. So I'd like to invite everyone to enter this brave space with me. Has anyone heard of what a brave space is? A show of hands. Okay, wonderful. So I know sometimes we hear the phrase safe space. Have we heard safe space? Okay. I am not going to create a safe space today. And that might sound a little, what? What do you mean? I don't know what is safe for you. And you don't know what is safe for me. So I don't want to lead with a commitment that this space will be safe, because it may feel unsafe at times. But I do invite you, as Muñeca had mentioned, to care for yourself, that if there are any themes or conversations that come up that might not sit right with your spirit, maybe it might be triggering something, something might come up for you, or you're not ready to have those conversations, I invite you to care for yourself however you need to, whether that's stepping outside of the room, getting some fresh air, getting some water. I will take no offense if this isn't something that is landing with you right now in this moment of time. So I want to welcome everyone for being here today and hopefully being brave with me. We've called this gathering the currents that we carry. And because like the ocean, conflict and care, like currents, can be rough, they can be gentle, it can be powerful like tsunamis, or it can be peaceful, like the sound of the ocean waves as they crash into the shore. So as we carry that visual, that's what conflict feels like. It can be drowning, but it can also be revitalizing. So just kind of carrying some of those themes. I want to share that we're not here to avoid conflict, so we're going to face some of these themes head on, but we're also not going to solve conflict. We may not solve anything over the next 2 days. But I had a beautiful conversation with really wise souls yesterday that helped to transform the way I want to approach this a little bit more, and the word protocols came up. I hope I can share that. I had a conversation with Veronica and Auntie Francis, and we talked about sacred protocols and what it means to equip each other with the tools that we need. So I hope that today, while we may not solve anything, that we can leave a little bit more equipped to figure out what's next. I do want to spend just like 30 seconds real quick if I can. I added the slide. One of my favorite authors, their name is Adrienne Marie Brown, and their book is called We Will Not Cancel Us and Other Dreams of Transformative Justice. And Adrienne talks about mycelium mushrooms. Is anyone here familiar with mycelium mushrooms? Okay, awesome. So for those of you who have not heard of what mycelium mushrooms are, they exist under the forest floor. So there are these networks of mushroom that spread across the entire forest, and oftentimes you can't see them, they're underground. But the really cool thing about mycelium mushroom is that they alert the entire ecosystem anytime there is danger. So there's a predator that enters that forest space that is unfamiliar. If there is disease in a certain plant, if there is any type of foreign external force that may pose threat in that forest area, mycelium mushrooms quickly communicate across the entire floor. And it kind of reminded me of our white blood cells. When you experience pain or injury in a certain part of your body, your white blood cells rush to respond to that where you're experiencing that pain. And I just want to share this visual of mycelium mushroom because we're all kind of mycelium mushroom in a way. When we feel threats, when we feel conflict, when we feel friction, it is our job as natural and organic as mushrooms to respond and to inform each other and alert each other so that we can protect our land and protect each other. So just like the mushroom, we're going to do that over the next couple of days. I'm going to leave the slide up briefly. We are a little bit behind time, and I want us to get to our elder panel really soon. But just reminding ourselves of the community agreements that are on the back wall. We are listening with our whole selves. Show up as you are, as you can, whatever is comfortable. Take what you need and leave what you don't want. And I'll just give it a few seconds. So I'm going to stop talking for a few seconds here, for a couple of minutes, before we get into our panel. And I want to start with defining conflict. So I'd like to open the floor to anyone who's willing to share what maybe your brief definition of conflict is. When you hear the word conflict, what comes to mind? Tension. And I'm sorry, I might pause real quickly. I know we wanted some visual note-taking, or if there's anyone who has a book with them and would be so willing to take note of some of these definitions, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. So we have tension, needing attention, disagreement, fighting, opposition, change, misunderstanding, different expectations, misalignment, discomfort, difference in needs, imbalance. Thank you all. Conflict for some of us can mean arguments in our family. Maybe someone argued this morning already with their family member. It can mean clashes in movements or politics. I know we're approaching politics season soon, so conflict may be very present and tangible almost. For many of us in this room, conflict looks like militarization. Conflict looks like colonization. Conflict looks like environmental degradation. So we see the spectrum of conflict, from the conflict within our families, and the conflict within the larger world and that around us. But at the root of conflict, values that are clashing. There is friction. There is something that is causing the disconnect, that friction and that space in between. And the problem is not the conflict itself. It's how we meet it. It's how we arrive at it and how we leave it. So sometimes, as conflict divides our families, it can also break our movements apart. And it can also have us lose trust. And when we have the right sacred protocols in place, we can bring each other together. We can repair those relationships, sharpen our vision, and deepen our commitment to each other. So we're going to spend about the next hour hearing from our elders, our Sainas, who have experienced conflict themselves through different generations, through different technological advancements even, through different political leadership cycles, and seeing the growth of their own families and their own selves. So this is such a gift for us to be able to hear from them and see how some of those themes resonate within ourselves now and how we see and define conflict today. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to our moderator, Sheila Babauta and Kinilis. We'll spend the hour with our elders hearing from them, and then we will come back to this space, do an activity together as a group, and we do have a part 2 of this workshop tomorrow, so we'll see some of those themes transfer forward. But for now, we are going to introduce our panel of elders. Sainamasi.
Before we get started, we wanted to, because we have one mic, we wanted to have the crowd help our elders so that everyone can be more engaged. And so we wanted to show, if our speakers need to speak up, this is the sound or the movement that we do for everyone to do it. If we need them to speak up, if we need them to speak slower, we'll do this side, speak slower. If we need them to time out, we'll do this time because they're going on too long. Yeah, we'll do this one. And if we need them to sort of like steer the ship and land the plane and get to the point.
Testing, testing. 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 Maybe we can just pass this. Yeah. You can navigate either way, so yeah. Hold it. Test. 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 You can hear it? If we can please, thank you for your patience as we navigated this. Can we please have our elders who are part of the panel come to the front for the conflict panel? Yes. Mama, we'll introduce you in a bit, but yeah, if you can take a seat, thank you.
Testing, testing.
We're going to be introducing everyone with their a quick bio of them.
Can everyone hear from the microphone? No.
That one.
Test. Testing.
What a
testing.
lineup, huh? Viva!
Test. Testing. Testing, testing. Hello? Hello, hello, hello? You guys are how? Hello? Is this better? Okay.
That one's super low.
Oh yeah. Test, test. Tagi 1, 2. Tagi 1, 2, 3. Male. So, half a day, Pirawami. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Bienvenido, Manimumeto, to our signers, to our elders. Sizus Masi, Gilisutumug for joining us. So we'll start with our bios. So Auntie Susan Marie Taitano Ogun grew up in Camp Manyagun, Zonya Rules, the site where 50,000 people were held during the Japanese occupation. She is the fourth of 8 children and comes from Supiano clan dispensa, known as the healer of Manelu and Talanpago. At age 18, her great uncle Tankiki Supiano recognized her gifts of healing hands and affirmed her as the next generation to carry their ancestral practices. Susan has been devoted to honoring and continuing these traditions ever since. So, Auntie Sue, Sizus Masi.
Buen provecho, Saina Marcy Lokwi, Tasizus Marcy, para introduction.
Our next panelist, we have Tata Lino Olapai. Lino M. Olapai is a respected elder from Saipan, in the Northern Marianas Islands, known for his long life work in preserving Carolinian culture and guiding decolonization efforts. He has studied traditional navigation, clan systems, and ancient practices, traveling to the islands of Satawal to reconnect with ancestral knowledge. Tatalino was a key voice in shaping the Sinamay flag design to include the symbol representing both Chamorro and Carolinian people, speaking out for unity, cultural identity, and indigenous rights. Throughout his life, he has balanced deep respect for tradition and with engagement in modern civic life, serving as a bridge between the past and present for many in our community. Tatalino, Manimumeto, Gilisotumuk. Mama Lu, born in Rhoda, raised by her grandmother in Saipan. Mama Lu was introduced to the art of tomato medicine at a young age. By age 9, she had already learned how to identify healing plants, create medicinal recipes, and care for members in her community. From 2006 to 2010, she served as director of the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs under the former mayor Joseph S. Enos, where she established Cultural Day as an event brought schools and communities together to learn from local artists and practitioners throughout activities and like sand painting, coconut weaving, sea salt making, brick oven bread making, and traditional medicine demonstrations. Today, she is recognized as Master Zoamti and teaches Chamorro medicine at the University of Guam. She also regularly conducts presentations across Guam's villages and schools, sharing her expertise and with the next generation. Her book, Tinanam Amotsia, will be released this month. Sizus Masi, Mamalu.
Jesus Marcy for all of you.
Last but not least, Auntie Frances. Auntie Frances Sablan has represented cultural practitioners and community leaders from Saipan dedicated to preserving and revitalizing Tomorrow and Refalo's traditions. She has led cultural demonstrations and workshops across the Marianas, teaching, weaving, traditional cooking, storytelling, and healing practices while creating space for intergenerational learning. Auntie Frances also serves with Mango, a nonprofit organization committed to uplifting island voices and strengthening cultural identities through education, arts, and community engagement. Her work continues to inspire pride, rebuild trust, and keep cultural lifeways of the Marianas thriving for future generations. Buenas, Auntie Frances.
Buenas, amaga umogaan, atay hihatihan, hilisaw.
Testing. Oh yeah, it's. Can you please speak into the microphone?
Mic test? Okay. Yeah, earlier it wasn't, yeah.
This one's a little lower. Oh, we can actually talk past that.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Way better, huh? Before we dive in, I just wanted to make all the panelists, or remind all the panelists that we do have a timekeeper. We honor your wisdom and thank you for sharing your energy and intention with us. However, just to keep up with the schedule, we will have a timekeeper, and that's Dakota. We handed it to him. Yeah, and so he will inform you when you have a minute left, and so he will be, where will you be at? I'll be over here. Okay, so he will let you know. Alrighty, thank you.
And I just want to share that it's not to rush your time. We appreciate your time here and your experience. It's a nice sample. Just give everyone a sample, and then after the panel, they want to come and to the fiesta plate, taga na, no? Okay, first question. Tatalino, when conflict arose, who did people turn to for guidance or meditation?
Our elders in our community are well known, and they are the ones that address those. If the issue cannot be resolved at home, mom and dad, then we have these elders in our community that have that status, that a lot of us listen to them. Thank you.
Auntie Frances, how do we rebuild trust when it has been broken? What roles of forgiveness when resolving conflict?
One way, especially for the perpetrator, is to ask for forgiveness. If they have wronged or they have caused some disconnect, then they ask for forgiveness. They look the person that they need the forgiveness from in the eyes, like we did yesterday. Because when you look away, sometimes the honesty, the truth is not there. But if you look straight in the person's eye and ask for forgiveness, then there is that truth, there is that honesty. And so also, although promises are broken, we want some verbal assurance that they will not repeat whatever it is that they did to cause that tension or that disconnect or that conflict. And to show through positive action that they really are remorseful, they really want to make a change, and they want to move forward and have the connection again.
Jesus Marcy, I like to tell my students, don't be sorry, be better. Puro sorry, but we're not changing, But Mama Lu, how do you personally define healing in the context of community conflict?
Healing is share your story about a person you don't get along. And when the person's sick, you may make a medicine for that person. Or how the person does not believe in a herbal medicine. But at last resort, because Western medicine does not work for them, the person wants to try the herbal medicine.
Jesus Masi Saina. Auntie Sue, how has militarization or outside systems changed the way our people handle conflict?
Golf Makat. It is very challenging to approach that decision of making what you have to do in order to help the people that is our opposite. We are the people of the land, the air, the sea, and we have been disconnected by them. Only we have to pray real hard that the tools that are given to us can be used to help them and help ourselves especially to understand and come to an agreement, because we do have to share the lives for all to come. And the ones that are coming behind us is the most necessary to be protected. Thank you.
Jesus Masi. Tatalino, how did your family or community traditionally resolve conflict? What did those practices look and feel like?
Like I said earlier, mom and dad tried to solve that at home, depending on the subject matter. If it's that critical, then we have elders in our community that are respected, that are good at resolving those conflicts. They are called upon them to help out. Thank you.
Giliso. Auntie Frances, what do you think we've lost, and what do you think we can reclaim?
We've lost a lot, especially in conflict. Hold on, let me get my notes because I had a lot. But never mind the notes. We basically lost a lot of the virtues. And I was trying to figure out how many virtues there are out there, but I remember the last time I counted, there were over 100. And so by having the disconnect, the conflict, we lose a lot of those virtues. And some of those virtues are respect. We lose the respect for each other because of that conflict. We lose patience. We become impatient with each other, because we don't want to work it out, or we don't have the courage, so we lose the courage, we lose the bravery, we lose the honesty, we lose the openness, because we don't want to be open with each other anymore, because we fear that that conflict would, like Muñeca said earlier, get into a brawl, into a fight, because with the hot-temperedness of individuals, it can lead to that, or more detriment, death. So it depends on how it escalates. So we do lose a lot, and part of it is also dignity. We lose that dignity and that integrity within ourselves and with each other, and so the loss is tremendous when it comes to conflict, even though it may be just a small misunderstanding, disagreement, disconnect. It really can escalate, and we've seen that happen in our community, in our homes, and so lost is an understatement for conflict.
I like to add to what I mentioned earlier that conflict, you have people that address that. I witnessed a conflict between two groups among the Carolinian, and they stand up and they were ready to hack it out. Then my uncle stood up in the middle of them and sing a song. That brings peace to both groups. They, instead of hacking out each other, they start singing and dancing, and it brings peace. So singing, it have its merit, and I witnessed that. Thank you.
Jesus Masi Giliso. Mama Lu, what does it mean to mend nets in today's struggles? Is there any story you can share about healing through conflict?
When a fisherman has torn net, he looked for the hole and saw them out, so the fish cannot escape. In the struggle we face today, we have community who are struggling, and some do not have financial means to health care, put food on the table, work, we mend our net and sew one by one at a time. Help one person at a time. It doesn't have to financially, but with the understanding, compassion, knowledge, and show them for our community that we care. Then maybe they will have better perspective in life. Thank you.
Jesus Masi. Final question, Auntie Sue. What advice would you give us today about staying in the right relationship when conflict shows up?
We acknowledge ourselves as we were okay before conflict comes to the two of you or whomever is involved. Honor yourself. Pray that you give the wisdom through your mouth so that way they can help to understand. The next step would be acknowledge that person's feeling. We don't know what they're going through, and we cannot make up their mind. They will stand for what they think is right against what you have planned to say or do. It just the talk and looking at you was already probably so huge in them with anger, frustration, scared them, just any kind of feelings that they're going through. Acknowledge them and say, excuse me, pardon me, I beg your pardon. Please hold that thought. I'll be right back, and turn around and shut your mouth. Take a deep breath, hold it for a little while, blow it out your mouth. Do 3 short ones. Make sure you shut your mouth. When you're in the restroom, do it over. 3 to 5 sets of those will help you to determine what it is that you want out of this conflict. And then make sure you go back and acknowledge that person and ask them, excuse me, even though you hurt them, I beg your pardon. Can you tell me what was on your mind? I didn't really hear you. That will make them calm themselves down, because you are not the enemy. You are the solution. That's why they chose you. Thank you.
Can we have a round of applause for our elders? The uncle and Jesus Masi, Tumugo Remy, so much for sharing your wisdom, even just a little bit of sample. I'm pretty sure everyone's going to come come up and ask after. Before we open up for Q&A, we have a request. Catalino, do you remember that song that they were singing? And if you could maybe sample or sing that song, the conflict? Okay, okay. Oh, well, no, yeah. Pass. Q&A? Q&A? The Lolapi, Lolate, Lolamele, no one? Okay, now the floor is open up for Q&A for elders. If you want to directly ask one of them or open up the question to all of them.
So there was song to diffuse conflict. Is there a unique way that each of you have diffused conflict, and what was it?
I'm going to use my great-grandson as an example. He can cause lots of conflict at home by saying, "That's mine," and then it just opens up that can of worms. But like what Tatalino said, the distraction for me works. If I take that child out of that environment where he was causing some havoc, or vice versa, then he forgets about the conflict that he was either stirring or trying to get involved in. And so I say, "Hey, do you want to go upstairs?" Because he loves going upstairs. Or, "Hey, do you want to go outside?" Because he loves going outside. And that automatically turns off that conflict that he was trying to create. Another is my grandmother, God bless her soul. Whenever she tries to do preventive maintenance, whenever she asks for something, she would say, "Zangin tun la lalo, por favor, cocina un togi esti." Zangin la lalo ho, togi afantalo. You know? So what, in essence, what she was saying is, if you will not be upset or angry, can you do this for me? But if you're upset anyway, can you just do it anyway? You know, that type of thing. So, I mean, of course, she doesn't talk like that, right? But she is just so calm, collect, very passive, and very giving. And so that's something that I grew up with, and that's something that I now try to model for not just my family, but my community, because that worked for me. So therefore, what works for me may work for others. But of course, it's not one size fits all, right? But, you know, you can at least try. And like what was asked, what are some other ways, right, that worked for you, for your family, for your workplace or wherever? Sorry, Tatalino.
A quick one. Call on Division of Youth Services. They will address those issues.
Sometimes they're the problem, Tatalino.
It is true. It's very challenging today. Even before the babies were born, they have a rights for life. I really don't know. Back then, we depend a lot on our elders. But here's also another way. I have a problem with my parents in Charankanoa growing up. And I always got a whip in the butt. So what I do is I ran away from home. I ran away from my Chalankanoa home, and I went to my auntie in Tanapak, and I stayed with them. The family in Chalankanoa were looking for me, then they told my parents that I'm in Tanapak. I said, okay, let him be, because my being with my cousin in Tanapak, that's healing by itself. So they knew where I was. So I don't know if that kind of situation that are happening today with, especially with the youth, I don't know if that will help. Because we do have a special parents and a special cousin and brother of ours that we can, rely on and share what's bothering us. We have those. I don't know if those can be, activate or support to help out and bringing kids up into this world. I don't have the answer to that, but that's what's happening to me growing up. Thank you.
Do you two want to add to that before I add?
I want to add to that because, as you can see, at this time, everybody wants to share the knowledge from the manamko, our, no, it's what we call that, the elderly that, because nowadays, when people get sick, they really want to learn and they want to get medicine for the manamko, because for the manamko's medicine, that's what we're trying now to learn. So some others, they're not believing in those kinds of healing. So that's why that we're gathering today, because we want to learn about the back pain people are doing. And like myself, my grandmother raised me up. And this is what I'm doing now, to make a life that what the elderly people doing. Because to learn more about our culture, because our language, we already lose those culture. So now we have to protect and we have to work and together, all of us, so we can teach our young generation, because they're gonna be there, want to carry what we're trying to do and to teach them. And I'm very proud and happy because I see a lot of people now, the young generation, they're very interesting to learn about the elderly people. And I respect that, and I'm thanking you, everyone, for that. Sijuos maasi.
Sue, did you want to respond to that one? You're good? Okay. What has worked for me is I try to connect with that elder that I want to seek out. And one way is to introduce yourself and just say, I am interested in learning whatever, because the elders right now, some of them are just so very lonely. They want someone to talk to. And if they can't have you under their wings, they will. They just need to be asked. No, and just like us, no, and that's the Antigua way, the old ways, right? You don't go to a party or a gathering without being invited. That's an elderly tradition, you know. And so whenever you say, well, I'm gonna give you an invitation, no, you come in person and you talk to me. So just going back to basics, especially the elders locally, that's their preference. Yeah.
Elderlies love it when young people come to them because it's like a respect to them that their knowledge can be passed on through the generations to be given far and beyond. You're welcome. Thank you for asking that. Yes, this has been my long life dream. Since I was 2 years old, I remember I have to go and massage the person, just swipe them, hug them, only make it harder, you know. Yes, you can acknowledge yourself, then you acknowledge the person and ask for help. Do not be afraid. Shut your mouth, take your life back into you, hold it for a little while, exhale all that toxic that is in you, and then do it over 3 to 5. Once you're done with that, it will give you the tool, the being will give you the tool that will help you to know where you want to be, not where you are.
I know we love shortcuts, but sometimes you just have to go through the long cut. And just go with it and take, lay all the cards on the table and deal with it the best way. But by trying to resolve the conflict together, that's where you get to really understand each other, get to really know each other, what one is feeling, and what their pet peeves are, and that's all part of the process of conflict resolution in my book.
It also helps to know where you want to be, first of all, because you have a conflict and it was thrown to you because you're the most powerful of everybody here. That's why they gave you that problem, because of that problem is the solution that you would carry on through generations to pass it on to others that really need more help than what you went through. Thank you. Just remember yourself that you want this to be resolved because you don't want to come to one of these and then find out years later. So acknowledge yourself that yes, this has been bothering me. And how do I do this? You just do it. Do your breaths first and then come to them and say, remember to acknowledge their feeling and let them know, I am sorry. This is what happened, and I'm not too sure whether or not, maybe they're going to cut you off by then, and you cannot tell them what you want, and then you say, excuse me, when they cut you off. I don't think you are very ready to hear what I have to say. Or let them speak because they are wanting, especially if they came to you, let them give you what they want and be quiet. That's very, very important. When they are done, they're not ready to hear what you have to say. So you ask them, thank you for giving that to me. That's not what I intended. Do you want to hear what I have to say? And if they don't, you say, well, feel free to come to me. I will be waiting for you. And thank them for being honest.
And Tisu method. Short, brief, do.
Sometimes, even though you do let the perpetrator know that what you would like as an outcome for them to ask for forgiveness, sometimes they don't think they've wronged, like you were trying to allude. And so therefore, we're in a dilemma, right? But as we're taught through some of our religions, is that you forgive anyway. Regardless whether they ask for forgiveness, because that's what is needed. But like I say, sometimes difference of opinions, they don't think they wronged you, so therefore never mind, and they kind of dismiss it. So, that would be the best way for one, maybe not all, is to just blanketly say, I forgive you, even though you may not be deserving, but at the same time, I love the Pacific tradition, the Pacific way, where before they speak, before they do anything, they say, if I wronged you, I am sorry. It's like a blanket asking for forgiveness. And some of them are asking for forgiveness in advance, not after the fact. So they're trying to prepare you that if I'm going to wrong you, I may not know it, but I did or I do, forgive me. And I love that Pacific way, And so if we focus on the positive and move forward, then that's the best outcome, and not kind of linger and be stuck on, I want him to ask for forgiveness. Never mind that, move on,
It's been very interesting changes that befell us. I work for the Committee on Cultural Affairs, and I do a program for the parents. At that time, more protection were given to the children. They wouldn't allow parents to even consult their children. It was taken over by DYS. And it's a big woe when they created that. I had to argue to the director that handled the Division of Youth Services that in consulting with the kids, you need to have parents be part of that to resolve the issues that the children are having. No way, no way. They were very protective. They protect the kids. It's not a balanced thing. We need our elders, mom and dad, to be part of that, to make the kids understand what's happening at home. We don't have that, or we don't have those skills anymore. I don't know. I don't have the answer. But that's what's happening back then. Thank you. Of course, I have all the answers, and it's going to cost you. I really don't. I really don't. But back then, you know, we have our elders that are recognized in our community among the Carolinian. Maybe we can do that with the youth, you know, among themselves. Maybe select the youth that they respect each other and put them together and see if they can help out resolve those issues or problems among themselves. I really don't have an idea. I'm sure we can come up with ways. I was fortunate back then because I have this. I didn't know then that I have all the resources. Until later when I am now 180 years old that I realize what I'm losing. But it can be done. I'm not saying we cannot do it anymore. I think youth among the youth, you can tell which one respect. Let me give you a sample. We'll be talking among same generation, like my age, and we'll use any language. Good language, terrible language, sinful language, in our generation. But when I'm going to talk to a higher clan within the group, then my language changes. You know, I use a respectable form, like Tiro Rowe means excuse me, sir, instead of Adigolawam means shut your mouth. You know, to address this person with that status, the language changed. So I don't know if this thing can still revive because the Western educational system it gives anybody a right to speak their piece. So I don't know whether we have that respect in the current situation where you can say whatever you want to say against your parents, you name it. I don't have the answer to that, but that was back then. Thank you.
I would like to add that, then I would like to use my family, because when I was a little girl, my family, when I growing up, they always gather, especially the Manglonias family from my grandmother's side. When I was a little girl, and we always go to the gathering, because I was asking them why we always go to gathering with all the family. My grandmother was saying that this is the time that if anybody is asking for forgiveness because they did something to the other family. So this is the time now that we need to talk about and ask for forgiveness. So the Casa de Mazot family, that's what we were doing. All those, the Casa de Mazot family, they took all their kids, their young kids, their older kids, and they educate them that if you have a misunderstanding, this is the time that you need to talk and you need to be forgiven. Because if you just keep going and you just growing up and you don't know about forgiving, then you cannot teach your kids, your family, how to love. So this is our Casa de Mazot family, that every Christmas or Thanksgiving, November, we gather. And I'm just now thinking of all our family that already passed, but they're still doing it now, the young generation, because they teach from their babies, and they're growing up. And forgiveness and asking for forgiveness is very hard for you, especially when people did something wrong to you. Sometimes you're thinking that you want to forgive, but it's hard because you need that person to come to you. And sometimes if you see your heart, it's really painful. Your mind is just thinking whether you want to forgive him or you don't. So it's hard to give that. But with the connection of all the family, that what they're teaching, what they're doing for education for their family. So that's why you get a forgiving because of the love from the family, and they united. And I'm really feel good, and I respect that. Respect, love, and understanding, that is really important in this kind of topic that we have. Thank you very much.
Elder toxicity is out there, but like you say, we learn from the youngsters. I remember when my children were growing up, they would learn lessons in their classes, and one time I liked to play the piano out at the bowling alley, and they of course brought up the topic of gambling. And so, that was a message that had to go home by the child to the parent. And the parent, if they were listening well, they would listen and take it to heart. And so that relationship between the child and the parent and the elder is very important. Because if that relationship is valued by the elder, no matter how negative they may be, they will somewhat change. And I've seen that happen. But it's not the shortcut that was asked for. It does take time, because the elder needs to realize that what they're doing, what they're modeling, what is not proper, not right. And so therefore the little child or the younger adult can bring it home. So there is hope.
It was obvious to me that my mother loved us, but it took me until I was almost 19 to realize she was trying to help the community so the community can help their children, her children. And it kind of bothered me before, because I was the go-to girl, the siligwagwa like you. All of you guys, right? Anyway, when I noticed that they too didn't know her mom died when she was way young. So what is it that I'm asking my elder? It's for her to teach me what she learned. But I didn't want to do the amut dispensa as a woman. I know the amut. Don't ask me the name. Because I was so hell-bent on having to have her undivided attention. How can she show me, though? Back then, she didn't have a mom role model. She had sisters, but they all grew up fast and left the nest. So I had a one-on-one talk. And I just say, hey, excuse me, do you have time for me? At least 5 minutes. Make sure you make it 3. Make sure you know what you want to say. And then approach that person and say, excuse me, please hold your thought, and I'll be back. Go to the bathroom and take some of that out. Because the anxiety of you, oh my goodness, it's a conflict to what they're trying to do. They're trying to think you are disrespecting them, right? Right? But you want them to understand and to help you to understand how it is to live. just suggest some stuff, but always give them your undivided attention when they're talking to you too, because they do have the knowledge that they can pass and tell you and maybe get help. And that's how my mom really was, I owe this to my mom. Thank you.
Iba. Once again, Dunklin Sizus Masi, Felicitomo. Another round of applause for our beautiful elders, the treasures and gifts.
Your search for unbeatable internet speeds is over. Visit Docomo Pacific today and sign up for as low as $60 a month so you can experience our fast, reliable internet speeds for yourself. Docomo Pacific, better together.